So, if I were to ask you the same question, but now look at where we are at now in terms of the guys that we have, do they have the energy and the ability to match the Ivorians man to man, not zonal marking, man to man now? Do they have the energy and the ability?
Kaido, if I answer you straight up, I will say energy and ability is not a problem for the Eagles. No, it's not. What the issue is about commitment and focus. Remain focused for the entire 90 minutes and extra of the game. You know, taking cue from what George said earlier, it's pertinent that we know that in African football, you take away entirely the so-called big name thing. That's why African football has narrowed down to. I mean, this is the first tournament where we had the relatively less goals scored. Wide margins of victories have not really been found in the games, and on and on. You know, you see a situation where an African footballer comes in, he says, okay, yes, you are a Didier Drogba, yes, you are a Mikel Obi, but on this field of play is man against man, just like you said, man versus man thing. So, you know, I want to see a situation where Stephen Keshi will actually do something that the coach of the Ivorians has done. What did he do? He decided to remove Didier Drogba after the first game and only brought him in as a sub in the second game and started him in the third game, just because in that third game they used their second string team as it's called. The situation is Drogba had come out to say, I wasn't in the best of form, and it's the coach's call to either start me or not start me. In other words, he's not a respecter of names. The same thing applies to the Nigerian team. With all due respect to Joseph Yobo, the captain of the team, the last 4 or 5 years, he hasn't been at the top of his game. He's been error prone. We've seen a couple of costly mistakes he's made in the team, and the substitute players, defenders who have come in, have proven themselves. Kenneth Omero was a relatively unknown quantity coming into this tournament. He was expected to just be in the under-20 team, but here he is, the outstanding defender Nigeria has found so far. Gordon Obuabuna so far is the only home-based player who has given a massive impression of how good and qualitative the Nigerian home-based footballers can be. So the point is, you don't have to bring in the Joseph Yobo just because he's the captain, he's the status quo of the team. Play the best of players, disregard whatever status you have, and let's see commitments in these players. You will see a situation just like I pointed out earlier, where even the home-based players, if you give them the opportunity, they will go the extra mile. They will even be ready to break their feet or their knees, just like she mentioned, just because they are ready to give their all. But the so-called big players will think about going back to their clubs, like Mikel, like a Victor Moses. He mentioned Ahmed Musa. He hasn't really been at the top of his game. So some of us, we asked this question earlier. If you have a player like Ejike Ozuenyi, who plays for Rangers, who's also a wide player, a winger, you have a player like Gabriel Ruben, who plays for Kano Pillars, and relatively, Ahmed Musa hasn't played well in the competition. Why don't you bring him in? This is the essence of taking 23 good players. The reason why you have not put him in gives room to question. Is it that on the average performance of a player like Ahmed Musa, then the other one is not even as good as his average? I don't know if you get my point. So it's clear that what you need to do is to push out those players who are looking for the opportunity. I take it back a bit. If you recall 2004 when we won the Nations Cup, a player like Emmanuel Aminike had not played one single match going into that finals. It was I heard records of some players talking about that every time they wanted to play, he knew he wasn't going to play, so he would stay at the restaurant, eat extra fufu and eba just to feel himself up. Suddenly in the finals, Coach Western called him up. Yeah. He came up and he exploded like a rocking star. I mean, he scored the 2 goals that got us the cup. He was the player of the tournament, and from there, he emerged to become African Footballer of the Year. So it's important you use this opportunity and bring up bold, committed players. That's why you see them in training. That's why you took 23 out of the whole lot of Nigerian footballers, and you believe they have something to offer. So I'm saying, in essence, forget about the so-called names. George was right in talking about the strategic positions that these guys play. There's a maestro called... what's his name, that plays in the midfield with Yaya Torre. I'm talking about the Ivorian side. Okay. There's the player that plays in Newcastle, Cheick Tiote. He plays the defensive role, and we have Bamba and of course Torre brothers. Kolo Toure.
Kolo and
So
Yaya Toure.
solid defending they do have, but Kolo Toure is error prone. You can use the wings. MNK is a strong, well-built Nigerian player who can hold his own, shield the ball. It depends on the level of quality passes he will get. So now, what you see in training, outside the extra pressure that Mikel is taking, do you have players that will support him like the Nosai Geba who mentioned, who has an ability to run through the defenses? He does dinking runs that will actually attract other defenders to him and then opens up for the other strikers to get the goals. All this remains to be seen. It just depends on what he's going to play.
The coach was criticized when they were taking off by the team that he was taking. What do analysts feel at this stage about what has happened so far?
You mean our own coach?
Yes.
Well, I think he took the players that he felt will give him results. 6 from the Nigerian League and 17 others from players that have played outside our nation's shores. So far, the players have, some of them have not really delivered. But I want to see a situation where he drafted some of the home-based players. Sondemba played against Ethiopia. He didn't do badly. I want to see Ruben Gabriel, the Kano Pillars boy. He plays well in the midfield. Now that Fengo Ogude will not be starting because of card, maybe he will bring in Sondemba. Like he said, Ejike Uzenyi, the boy from Rangers, he plays from the wings. Ahmed Musa has not been at his best in this competition. Who says that Ejike Uzenyi could not come in tomorrow and make all the difference? You still need to have your joker, because if you look at it now, the Ivorians will not be banking on a player like Ejike Uzenyi, no doubt. They may be expecting Ahmed Musa, they know what he can do. But tomorrow, Keshi could use him as a joker. And Ejike Uzenyi that I know is very fast on the ball, very quick. And he could be the surprise package tomorrow. We need to see what the formation will look like. But I want to see a situation where the Eagles should go to our traditional wing play. Because MDK has not been getting the supplies from the wings. He is very strong. He is the kind of player that wants to get the pass and shoot at goal. But he has not been getting the supplies from the wings. So if a Victor Moses, you saw the individual brilliance that Victor has been played out of position in our other games. If Victor Moses now operates from the wing, and will have Ejike Uzenyi operating from the left side of the attack, I think it is not out of place for us to spring a surprise against the Ivorians. They are beatable, they are vulnerable, especially in the defense line. But their attack is what is frightening. And like I said, if you look at the quality of players, know that on paper it's difficult for us to really match the Ivorians, especially against the backdrop of the kind of epileptic performance we've seen. Keshi was quarreling with virtually everybody yesterday during the pre-match press conference that he's surprised that Nigerians don't believe in his team, and he's taking a defeatist attitude into this game that if we lose to Cote d'Ivoire, nobody should blame. No, I don't think the coach should be talking about losing. He should go there. Nigerians have this fighting spirit. When we are pushed to the wall, we'll have a war fighting like wounded lions. I won't be surprised tomorrow if you see a different Super Eagles, because they've been pushed to the wall, they've been challenged. And you know the average Nigerian, once you challenge him, he comes out fighting.
So and Nigerians are expecting them to win tomorrow, are they not? Naturally.
Yes. I mean, we've won the tournament twice, we've won the bronze medal. On the ratings in Africa, Nigeria is just behind Egypt on the overall ratings based on the number of wins, the number of medals. I mean, we won the third place. It's even been called our heritage, where we go to the tournament and we always win the bronze medals. So
it's
we've
like
gotten out of the quarterfinal stage.
Us to lose at the initial stage.
No, you asked him a question. You asked him a question which I need to answer. You know, part of the reasons why Keshi had all that pressure and question taking this team was, like George pointed out, we're taking as much as 17 players who are debutants to the tournament. He's never heard of. You know, going with as much as 17 players.
Are they foreign and
no, both the local
players
and foreign-based players. For the first time, we're taking as much as 17 who've never represented Nigeria in any major competition.
Now, in terms of their age as well, are they supposed to be the foundation for the future?
Yes. To cut Keshi some slack, he has said he's building a team. He's looking towards the future. There's the 2014 World Cup qualifiers that will return 2 weeks immediately after this tournament. So he's building a new team. He's trying to put together a group of young boys that will work towards the future. Players like Joseph Yobo is 33. Players like Vincent Nyama is 32, although goalkeepers still have longevity, so he can last a bit more. Mikel is in his mid-20s. But the rest of the boys really are between the ages of 19 and 26. Well, hey, I mean, the age thing in Nigeria, we don't want to go into
We
that.
don't want to go there. We don't want to go there at all.
Is that he's building a team. So let's see that he has decided, he's taken that bold step to go with relatively inexperienced players into this tournament. That's why we will say some of the errors we've seen so far in the game is because they have not been very experienced.
I am not one of those who believe in this rebuilding team. That is a way of, trying
it's
to...
a cop-out.
Yeah, to hide under the canopy of we are rebuilding. We'll have players that can give us the cup.
The drawing board.
Yes. Nobody should tell Nigerians that we are rebuilding and because of that we shouldn't be able to beat Cote d'Ivoire. I don't want to believe. I don't share that sentiment.
To that?
Yes, I don't share that sentiment.
Okay, so if you have to look at the team that we have now, what lineup would you be looking to have tomorrow, including the local boys that you would hope to see tomorrow?
Straight on, I would want Vincent Nyama to remain in post because he has done well. He kept us in the game against Ethiopia. In the defense, I just hope that the coach, Stephen Keshi, should have the courage to keep our captain on the bench. That is Yogo. Omero has done so well. Himself and Obuabuna should remain in the central defense. Obuabuna should play as the last man while Omero plays in front of him. Young boy, very articulate and calm. And then in the right, Efe Ambrose. On the left, Elderson Echejile. In the middle of the pack, I want Mikel to play as usual.
Sit in front of the defense.
In front of the defense, and Nosai Gebo do all the running in the midfield. Then I want to see us play with two wingers. Ahmed Musa if he wants, but I would want to see Ejike Nzoini operate from the left, Victor Moses from the right, and then we'll play twin strikers, Ike Uche and Emenike, or Emenike and Brian Ideye, whichever option he chooses.
So if that happens, what formation would you be expecting to see?
I expect to see a 4-4-2 formation.
4-4-2. Would you agree with that lineup and that formation?
To some certain measure. 4-3-3 is the average.
Who would you like to see out of that equation?
There's one major factor here. Let me just sum it up. Mikel is not exactly a defensive midfielder. Even in Chelsea, yes, he sits in front of the defense line, but he's more like a central midfielder. Where his strength lies is in his distribution of the balls, but in his tackling abilities and ability to break the opposing movement, Mikel hasn't really done well. So you need to get, that's why Fengo Gude has been good. You need to get somebody who will break the movement of the opponents when they rush towards your post. So if you leave Mikel in that role, is a very dangerous one. Onazi should come in. He's young, he's energetic, he's proven himself, but he may not be a Fengo Gude because he lacks the physical build of Fengo Gude, but he has the penchant to always come at the face of the opponent. So I think I want to see him there. Ikechukwu has been our biggest flop in the tournament. He's Nigeria's top scorer going into this tournament, but he has not delivered so well. I think it's about time you bring in a player like the one you mentioned from Ukraine, Brani Day. Start him up with Emenike and let's see how it goes. Outside that, like as you mentioned, give GK the chance and give Ruben Rebel, and then we're good to go.
Well, okay. I think with that, we're good to go, like you said. We're good to go. So expectation is that final word, what do you think the scoreline will be?
My heart is for the Eagles.
I like that.
As a Nigerian,
was going to go there.
But it's difficult to predict. On paper, truth be told, if I have to be sincere with myself as a football analyst, the odds favor the Ivorians. But like I said, the fighting spirit of the Nigerians come into play. And again, what the coaches do on the bench comes into play, depending on the game plan of our coach Stephen Keshi.
So
and depending on the team that makes depending on the team that makes the least mistake. I see a very tight scoreline. 2-1. It could go either way. 2-1 for Nigeria or 2-1 for Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay.
He has said his mind. As every Nigerian, we want to see victory, but I'll say this: I've decided to be pragmatic. expect less so that I won't be hurt. I'm a natural, passionate supporter of the Super Eagles. So I know how it makes me feel anytime we lose. So I will go with a 2-0 scoreline in favor of the Ivorians. The Eagles should surprise me.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, George. Again, we want to say thank you to George Aluo, who's sports journalist and member of the house here at Channels, and also Edward Ide. Thank you very eBay,
yes.
Edward eBay, sports broadcast journalist. Thank you very much for your contribution. It's been very useful. And I guess people at home have enjoyed listening or watching you. What's your own prediction then, Alera?
She was trying to run away from that all the while.
Your prediction.
I don't make predictions.
You're not
Your crystal ball is not working.
She needs to be the octopus.
My octopus is quite dead.
All right, on that note, we will just take a quick break, and when we come back, it will be home run, and the shout out will be what we will be sharing with you on Channels Television Sunrise this morning. Don't go away.